we are looking ahead for the Tuesday night main slate. It's a big slate. You can always check us out at windailysports.com for all your projection models, articles, data, home run prop models, and our expert chat. And we're giving away a free month if you haven't heard yet. So, make sure you hop in there and grab a free month. Promo code WIN22 will get you it. Win 22 for one free month at windailysports.com. Locks you in with everything we got to offer. Hop in the expert chat. Doesn't even cover just baseball. You're covered on golf, covered on NFL season-long rankings, everything that we offer, NASCAR, MMA, all that kind of good stuff. So lock in with us at windailysports.com. Dave, I want you to chop up these pitchers, man. There are so many pitchers on Tuesday's slate. You got guys up top, in the middle. It's a ton of games on the slate. Rodon up top against Detroit looks pretty good. You got Burns versus the Dodgers. Dodgers swinging hot bats. Verlander, Cy Young winner, most likely going against Minnesota. Cease has been great. He's going against Baltimore. This guy, Robbie Ray, that can always get out. I feel like every time we're doing a show together, Robbie Ray is pitching. He's got a nice matchup against Washington. So where do you want to start up top, man? Where do you want to go?
I'll be honest. My number one is Dylan Cease. It's a little step down from the 2 or 3 up top, but definitely liking Cease tomorrow night. He faced Baltimore once earlier this year, went 7 innings, had 13 Ks, and that was just back in June, so it wasn't too long ago. It's been during the good Baltimore streak, right? Here's the other thing about Cease. 14 starts in a row. Let's throw out his last one. It was 3 against Houston. He had 3 earned runs. 14 starts in a row before that of 1 earned run or less. His road ERA is 1.34, best in the majors. I really like him tomorrow. I think he's my number one. He's where I start. And then I kind of build, if I want to go double stack, I like Gonsolin as my next one. He's got a juicy matchup with Milwaukee, not a great hitting team, and he just owned them last week for 34 DK points. Even better, Gonsolin 8-1 at home with a 1.53 ERA. Opponents betting just 149 at Dodger Stadium against him. So that's where I'm sitting. You can't go wrong with Verlander. Can't go wrong with Rodon, but I got some stats there that just tell me these two are a little juicier.
Yeah, look, Robbie Ray in play. I think Max Fried, I'm not a Max Fried guy. He looked good last time out against the Mets. He faces now Pittsburgh, even softer of a matchup. And yes, I got owned yesterday. Solid Picks is here to rub it in a little bit. Our guy Tony went out there and picked Stotts. He hits a home run, I think, in his first or second at bat. I think it was like plus 600 or 650, depending on where you got it. So I'm no longer, anytime I'm doing a show with Tony from now on, I'm just going to let him pick all the home run pops, whether it's 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever. He's picking them. I officially retire from picking home run props because I was going to go Castellanos too. I went Schwarber, and I went with what's his name, who didn't even start tonight. So it was early. I had to put it out on Sunday night after the Sirius show. But I'm glad Tony hit his pick. We'll see what happens for the rest of the night on Monday night. But look, I think Robbie Ray is still in play. Fried's in play. Rodon, Verlander, Cease in play. If anybody, I probably stay away from Burns, even though he's probably the best pitcher or one of the best pitchers out of the bunch. Yeah. Just the Dodgers matchup is tough. Outside of that, not really messing with anybody in that mid-range. You got just mediocre pitchers going against mediocre lineups. Some of them good, some of them bad. You got Texas in Colorado. You don't really want to mess with Colorado. If there's anybody to go down below, who would it be, Dave, man? Because it's so stacked up top. There's not much in the middle. Where are you looking in the middle if you were to go that way?
Man, I was torn here. Lodolo had a great game against the Phillies last time out, but it's a tough matchup. So I kind of dive even a little deeper. I know this might be a little scary for a lot of people. But my man Brubacher wrote about him last week. He came up huge with the 6X value. He's sitting there at 7,200. We've talked about him before, Jay.
Yep.
He pitched a DK 32-point outing. I know it gets the Braves, but Contreras had a good game against them tonight, kind of isolated that offense. Brubacher's a lot better at home. 7,200, I think you could get 20 points out of him, and that's what you're looking for. If you're going to get someone lower in this range, you're looking for 18 to 20. I think Brubacher might, even though it's a bad matchup, be the best one of the bunch.
Yeah, I think the only guy that I would mention is Pablo Lopez going against Oakland, 8,100. I think there's some potential upside value there with him. I agree with you, Brubaker. Look, at 7,200, there is some upside as well there. Anybody else that you're looking at? Maybe, Aaron Saval, he went out there in his last start, 10 Ks against Detroit. This is a different team in San Diego for sure, but San Diego hasn't been, blowing the doors off teams either, especially from a pitching standpoint. So I think maybe Saval, if you want to go down below, not touching Coors Field. The rest of the pitchers, man, they're really, really, they're either just openers or they're guys that are just, they're not going to get you there on any slate. And with so much top end value up top, the only other one I'll mention, maybe if you want to go there at 6,300, Austin Voth. He's got double digits in his last 4 games. Granted, against Cincy, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. But last time out against Toronto, on the road in Toronto, he got 17.7. So he's been better as of late. Last 10 games, averaging 12.8 DK points. So he's getting there. Ks, about 1 per inning, in the last 10 games too. So not a horrible play at 6,300 if you do want to pay up with some bats. That's one way you can go as well. But pretty much I would stay up top, 9K and above. Maybe take a couple shots on, guys that Dave mentioned or I mentioned below. But there's so much upside in the top end guys that it's going to be tough to pair 2 guys to reach that value. Now,
How about
looking
Jose
at
Suarez? I wanted to get your opinion on him because he's had 4 straight road starts of, averaging 21 points. He just walks so many people, doesn't get a lot of, but at Tampa, lefty, is that right there in the 6,600 range?
with the same thought with Voss, like if you're gonna go for it, go for it. Like with
Yeah.
Saval, Brubaker, 7,200, 7,000, Voth, Suarez. These guys are all worthy. I want to stay out of that 8K range, that 9K range. Outside of maybe Freed. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind
Yeah,
it
that's
because you're
where
gonna
I'm
get
at.
a discount. So I'm off of Taiwan Walker, pretty much off of Clevenger, and I don't know. It's tough, man. It's tough on that low end. It's worth it in GPPs and cash games. You're not touching those guys, but in GPPs, you keep them in your player pool and you mix and match with the lineups that you like as far as stacking goes. Because if these guys go out there and get you 15, 20 at that 6K range, you definitely hit value. And now he's going to nail your bats. Now, you mentioned, Lodolo shutting down Philly. Still a hitter's park here. Any love for your Phillies tomorrow? Any love for any of these top stacks? Because there's so much great pitching out there, and a lot of the good teams are facing some tough pitchers, like the Dodgers facing Burns, Baltimore, who's been hot, facing Cease, even Milwaukee's facing Gonsolin. We talked about Brubaker against Atlanta. Where are you at with your stacks right now?
Yeah, tomorrow I think there's a lot of value in a lot of different stacks. It's like you said, once you get down below that 9,200, 9K range, there's a lot of juicy matchups. We're picking a few that are decent from the pitching perspective, but I stare at every time this guy pitches. I'm like, I got to go against him, especially when he's home, and that's Marquez. 5.85 ERA at home. Guys let up 21 home runs on the season. Texas isn't the most fancy lineup you can get, but you can probably get them for decent value if you're going to stack 2 heavy pitchers up top. So, Semien, we've kind of seen him starting to swing the bat a little better. Seager, and we always like some of their other bats, mixed in the outfield and shortstop range. So I don't mind Texas. As far as the answer to Philly, they hit lefties well. They actually do, even though, you got Stott, Maton, Schwarber in there. I think there's value in them. I just don't think they're the best value on the board. I think you got to 1s and 2s them. I think you got to go get Baum, maybe even Castellanos, possibly Romuto, and then just leave it at that. Don't go full stack.
Yeah, some games later in the night, you got Aaron Sanchez still in the league. He's going against Houston, so Houston being a good spot. Washington just, blew the doors off of Sanchez recently. So, look, there's a couple spots you can get to and get to Sanchez with Houston, one of the best lineups. They're heating up. Toronto going against Winkowski. Toronto's been playing good baseball as well. You got Seattle fighting for a playoff berth. They're going against Eric Fetty. They're in a good spot. He's coming off the IL too. So he hasn't pitched in close to a month. So he's not going to be lasting long in this game. So you're going to get a Washington bullpen game against a team that's trying to make the playoffs in Seattle. So I think Seattle, Houston in a good spot, Toronto, good spot. Obviously, Coors Field. Anytime there's a Coors Field game, I would go to it and take some shots there. More so on the Texas side, like you said, than the Colorado side. Outside of those teams, I think whatever is wrong with Frankie Montas, I don't know what it is. I actually liked him as a pitcher, but as soon as he came over to the Yankees, extreme struggles. Lit up 6 earned runs against Toronto, 6 earned runs against St. Louis. Was all right against Boston, but he hasn't been good since coming over from the Athletics. I think the Mets are in play. Not my favorite stack by any means. I think Toronto is definitely ahead of them. Boston could be sneaky against Ross Stripling. And then outside of that, these top end pitchers, I'm staying away from, the Dodgers here against Burns, staying away from Minnesota, staying away from Baltimore, staying away from, Washington, even against, Robbie Ray, who's going to, figure things out here. So I don't think there's any pitchers up top that are going to be supremely overowned either. So I don't think everybody's going to load up on, if anybody, it's going to be Verlander, but he's not somebody I'm going to really attack. Rondon, if he was going against a better lineup, I can take a shot, stacking against them. The only one that would make somewhat sense would be the Dodgers, because you get the Dodgers at pretty low ownership, but Burns is still Burns. He just faced his team and only let up 3 earned runs, no home runs, only 6 hits. So he contains offenses even if he doesn't have his best stuff. So I think if you want like a lower owned leverage stack, I think Philly would be low owned. I think the Mets will be low owned, and potentially get some value in Boston. I think Boston be low owned. A lot of people are giving up on this team, but they're not giving up as of yet. So I think Boston also a good spot to go to. But Dave, I've been struggling with these home run calls. You and Tony have been crushing it. We don't have our home run model up, late at night, but tomorrow morning, our home run model will be live at windailysports.com. If you want to check it out for free, use promo code WIN22 at windailysports.com for a free month. And if you're focused on NFL or PGA right now, projection models up for PGA. NFL model for season-long rankings is up, half-point PPR. If you have any questions, you can hop in our expert chat after you sign up as well. So you can ask Dave, myself, Tony, and all of our guys any questions you have. But home run calls, man. Where are you at to start tonight? You get the first pick. Tell us what you want.
All right. Yeah, I have a few out there, but I think I'm going to dial in. Even though I just said this pitcher may have value, he could still let up a dinger. So I'm going to go Austin Riley tomorrow night for the Atlanta Braves. First off, he's a great hitter, right? And he's second in the league in home runs, I think, in the NL. And he's faced Brubacher 6 times, has 2 homers off him, 3 hits. I think there's some familiarity there, but I also just think it's a plus, matchup. They're coming off kind of a cold game tonight, and that's kind of expected. I don't mean to say that in the wrong way, but they just had the Astros in town and the Mets before that. So they're coming off, 2 huge series. They were a little flat tonight. I think they pick it back up tomorrow. I think Riley's the front runner for that.
Yeah, it's a good call there. I'm going to go a little bit down the board. I'm going to go with some Jesse Winker. Look,
Yes.
The guy's facing a righty, 3 home runs in the last 10 games. Hopefully he pops one out. I got to go off this chalk. The chalk hasn't been hitting for me. So I'm going to go with some, higher odds players to go out there and hopefully break the little curse I've been on. I've been cold for, I think, 2 or 3 days. I think Goldie was the last one to hit a home run for me about a week ago. So
yeah,
I was with you, man. So hopefully you bring some lung back. I'm going to go Jesse Winker, my first play out in Seattle, going against Fetty. Who do you got for number 2?
This was tough. I looked at a couple of guys. Salvador Perez has had some decent numbers off Davies, but only has 1 home run in the last 2 weeks. So I faded that. And as easy as this sounds, it's the first time I'm using it. So take it easy on me. But I'm going to go Aaron Judge tomorrow night. He's got really good numbers against Taijuan Walker. We thought we were going to see DeGrom, but Buck has decided to go with Walker coming off that little tweak he had last week. And Walker's a guy that doesn't back down, right? He, who cares? He's going to come at you. And I think for that reason, I think Judge has a great shot. He hit one tonight, finally got back on track off Scherzer, got his 47th. I think he goes 2 for 2. Sorry, Jay. Not saying they win, but I like Judge tomorrow night.
Did you happen to see the guy, obviously a Yankee fan, not a Mets fan, because Mets fan have a little more class. But did you see the thing on Twitter? Popped up like a half an hour ago. Someone I never seen this done before. I don't know. Maybe I'm like the first one to see it, or I don't know if it's been going down. But like some guy buys a hot dog and then buys a beer or whatever, and someone caught it on tape. But he like pokes. I guess he pokes holes in the hot dog, and he used the hot dog for a straw to drink his beer. Have you
Oh,
seen this
God,
before?
no. Yeah, you just made me throw up in my mouth. And
Have
I
you
like
seen this
both.
before? Like, has this been
No.
seen? I've never
Oh,
seen that before. But like, he
oh,
planned it. It wasn't like it was like some like young kid like messing around. It was like a grown man that planned. It looked like he went to the game by himself. Like he didn't have someone next to him. Like, oh, what are you doing? He was just like craftily just doing it. I was like, bro, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Have you seen this before?
no. And I don't even want to see it ever again. That's probably the guy that was screaming about Gallo while he was striking out every at bat. But no, I haven't. And it just sounds
Now you got to see it. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out on Twitter. I don't even want to share it, but yeah, saw that. Second home run prop. I'm gonna go to Houston. Alvarez has been kind of cold, so I'm gonna go with Kyle Tucker here, man. The guy's
nice.
been swinging a hot bat. He's going against Sanchez. I'm picking on guys who can hit home runs against guys who like giving up home runs. He's been great as of late. 2 home runs last 10 games, but hitting over 300, during that span. So good contact, playing at home. He should be doing good, man. He should be in a good spot. Can't predict it every single night that it's going to happen, but let's see him hit a home run tomorrow. So I got Tucker and got the first guy. Who did I pick? The first guy? Who was it? Oh,
Winker.
Jesse Winker. Yeah, Winker
Yeah.
and Tucker. So the
2
Winker should
lefties,
make
right?
sense after that hot dog thing. So maybe it does come to fruition. Did you happen to see? Outside of that, I think I asked you about it, and we'll leave on this. With the whole thing that Brady and Gronk were supposed to be
Yeah.
traded to, to Oakland at the time, Vegas, whatever you want to call it. But did you see like 2 things today? I think I posted on the Win Daily Sports Twitter handle. Did you see Brady walk into practice today after like being out for 2 weeks? Like, I didn't know he was that cool. And then the interview where he's like throwing jabs at Carr and the organization. Like, have you seen that one too?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
No.
like I didn't realize he's that cool of a guy. Like I thought he was like, Tom Brady, and he wins and he's got, a model wife and everything else, but he's actually like funny and cool, and he's got that swag too. Like you don't really think he has it, but he obviously has it, like being a quarterback and doing what he does, man. So yeah, you got to check out that video too, because he goes at the Raiders organization, and then he makes a blow to Derek Carr. Like, really? Like, you want to stay with this dude? But he said, he's cursing and like very free speech kind of thing. So give him credit, man. The guy's obviously the GOAT doing his thing. And seeing stuff like that makes me really think that if he was allowed to, we're run by our wives to some extent. But if he was allowed to, he definitely played to like he's 52. Like there's no stopping this dude. But check out both those videos on our Twitter handle. Any hot takes before we head out of here?
No, I mean, I just, that was a hot take. Obviously, Dana White coming out and talking about that, Gruden shutting it down. Now Gruden's gone. So if that's really true, I mean, that's got to make people's heads explode in Vegas. But no, fantasy football season's popping, Jay. I just had my first draft over the weekend, and I'm starting to see, some real.
What position were you in?
Well, it was an auction draft, so this one was a little different. I was able to nab C-Mac and Pup, so I'm feeling pretty good sitting there. Quarterbacks aren't so good, but we'll see.
Yeah, I saw someone before I hopped right on said the team that looks closest to potentially being the Bengals of this year were Carolina and Baker. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. If that happens, I don't know, man. Yeah, everybody's calling the Eagles. It's not going to be a team that everybody calls. Everybody thinks the Eagles are just in a great spot because they're an NFC East. They're going to win a division, find a way in, and everything's going to work out. And Miles Sanders is going to be the next. I don't even know what he's going to be.
Not him. He's not
not him. Not him.
Yeah.
Is he starting week 1? Is he starting week 1?
I guess, but I mean, seriously, I don't think he's going to last very long. I think they got too much talent in the backfield. He'll get like 12 carries. no, not him.
Yeah. He had the hammy situation that popped up the other day, missed 4 or 5 days. Michael Thomas, another one that we were talking about for a while now, and he popped up yesterday with a hammy. I'm like, really? Like, you were looking so good for a little while. Like, you're really now going to go out and not do your thing? Because I thought he could be a nice little sleeper popping in some drafts. But, we got our season-long rankings up at WinDailySports.com. There's conviction in these rankings. We're not just going in there and matching the industry. There's players that we got 40 spots, 50 spots, higher than their current ADPs throughout the industry. So make sure you check us out at WinDailySports.com. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, breaking down the MLB golf show as well, breaking down championship rounds for the FedEx Cup. So you're going to want to check that out as well. A lot of drama in golf right now, but we'll be back tomorrow covering the MLB, and NFL is right around the corner. So take advantage of the promo code WIN22, free month at WinDailySports.com, and we are out of here.